Did you get me in the beginning?
Yes.
Take one.
Take one.
Take two.
Okay. So now we've got it into our quarters. And this is how you're going to hold the can. Shake it up first. Now, not all nozzles are created evenly. Some come out really nice. Some come out really fast. So I don't know. These are all new cans, so they've not been tried out. When we go to use your can to try out, either we're going to put a happy face on it or we're going to think about whether we like it or not. So if you find one that has a little happy face on it, that's one that I like. And when you get done with your can, it's all empty, then take this and save it and put it on the next one, so you can keep that one that sprays really good. You want to hold it at an angle about 45. So when you're spraying, and if you start like this to go spray onto your silk, you are not going to get the stuff in your can. You're going to get all the air and it will come out in spurts. So you want to keep it to 45. So when we're spraying, I'll say 45. That means, you angle it to 45. You want to stay about 16 inches away. This is my angle, and this is my how far I want to be. So if I say 45, if I say 16, then you'll know, I got my can too close. So if you get too close, you get this big billowy amount of sizing on there. This is not a starch, it is a fabric finish. It is much like the textile companies put into theirs. You know, when you buy a blouse and it looks so nice, this puts the perkiness back into it. So it's not a starch. Okay, so after we get on the first quarter, we go on to the second quarter, and then on to the third and fourth. So what I also do is, rather than just staying like this and spraying like this, it's too easy to miss a spot when you're spraying just like this. So I do a little wrist action. I either go up and down or sideways, so that I'm not doing one line, because when you do just one, it's a good chance that you are missing a part. So when we get done, you're going to be doing this at an angle where it's about this high, so that you are going to be able to see the reflection of how wet it is while you're spraying. Now I'm going to go out and do mine, and I'm going to demo all of this, but I wanted to tell you now rather than as I'm doing it. Now, let's see, 45, too close. So you want to make sure that you get it covered completely, but you don't want to overspray. So why I try to get you to get it all done the first time is that when you go back to get a spot that you missed, it's very easy to apply too much. So what happens when you apply too much is that as you're drying this with your hair dryer, you will see a ripple effect. I call it a tide line. So when you've got so much foam on here and so much excess, as you start to dry it, you'll just see an edge. If it's left unattended or left to dry like this with that tide line, it will be too many layers of the sizing, and it won't let your dye penetrate at the same rate as it penetrates other places. So when that happens, it makes your dye be lighter, and you will see that mark through the entire process, even through your mounting. You will see that streak where this buildup was. So when we've got this on, and you see that you have all this foam starting when you've done your hair dryer, then you need to stop and remove it. So there's a couple of ways you can do it, and I'm going to show you this too. Right after we spray, if we see this white foam all over it, you're going to do what I call car wash. So we're going to keep your paper towel one section nice and straight, and you know, like in a car wash, when you get done, that big thing that comes down, and so this is what that's going to do. You're just going to let it absorb on the end here, and then just let it go all the way down like this, about that fast. And so that's going to absorb what you have without leaving a big swipe mark on it. If you still need more, then just turn it around to another edge and get it like this till you go all the way across. We want to avoid wiping it but I have done it at times if this doesn't do the trick, if there's too much on there. Okay, so when we go to dry, we're going to dry it right away. After you spray and after we look in there and find out that you've gotten every spot, when there is a spot that you need, I want you to avoid overspraying it. So you're going to go like this and very, very lightly just the spot. So you don't want to like if your spot is over here, you don't want to start spraying over here and work your way. Now you're going to have too much over here. So you're just going to go, and I call it shh. So you're just going to go for that little spot that you've missed. We don't want to overdo it. Now when I go like this, shh, that means a very short spurt of it. So what you want to avoid, what you want to pay attention to is when you go to spray, put your finger on the nozzle and push all the way down. And when you're done, lift all the way up. It's the in between when you have a little bit of pressure on this, it's going to start streaming out or sputtering out. And that's going to make too much on there. I know I can see like, oh my gosh, but it'll come to you once we do it. I just don't want to tell you this as I'm doing it. Now, after we get done, a couple of things that's super, super important. After we get all done and Karen says it looks good, then you're going to take it, we're going to have this rested on the railing to come down the stairs. Then you're going to go tap, 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 tap. And that's going to kind of settle what you've got on here. And then the really important thing is the guampata guampata. It's very important. So, and you have to make a face or else it doesn't work. Okay? Okay. Now you're going to carry it inside, put it on your table. Now, when you carry it in the door, depending on the size you're working with, you may have to go like this to get it in the door before you set it down on your table. You want to keep it flat as much as you can. So as soon as you start holding it up, then it's going to start dripping, and then you have drips to contend with. So now, I learned this from a hairdresser, that you're going to keep your hair dryer on high at this angle. I don't know what angle this is, but you want the air to be blowing this way. And if you do it this way,
then it's going to disperse.
This doesn't disperse as much, and all this hot air is going back up into your hair dryer, and that's what burns them out. So go like this, and now you know me liking to get a lot done at one time. Now you're drying this whole area at a time. So you're going to go like this. You're going to watch to see if you get a tide line. Then you're going to take care of it with your paper. You may see some spots on here. So these spots are actually drips that is penetrated through your silk and it's going down to the bottom underneath. So to get the underneath, you slide it out from your table and dry from underneath here, but make sure that you keep this flat. And then you'll see it pop up to the top. Then you can dry it up to the top, or when it gets to the top, very lightly take your towel and get that spot out. Same thing, that spot will stay if you leave it drying where that spot is. But just remember, we don't want to lift up like this to dry it because it's going to make a drip. Questions? We'll do it. I will take pictures.